freaking first cut. Golly. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's Worldwide Technology Championship. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg.
Gentlemen, good evening. Rick, welcome back to the States. I know we've seen you. Nice hat, by the way. The Mighty Duckman himself, Rick Gehman.
Vintage logo, one of the greatest logos ever right there.
Oh, it's fantastic. It really is. So happy to be here. Looking forward to our discussion tonight.
We've got lots to cover. Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick.
Good to see you, Rick. Good to see you, Greg. We were discussing behind the scenes how we missed your expertise on the election episode, Decision Desk, HQ, DuCharme, and McDonald. But it is good to have you back. Hopefully the jet lag isn't too bad. Are you over it?
Well, first off, yes, my model, I got every single county in America correct. I ran the table. Wow. I did absolutely perfect, and no one could ever beat me. Yes, I am over the jet lag. The first day was weird. It wasn't so bad. The next couple of nights, I got into bed at about a normal time, and I would fall asleep no problem. But I would wake up in the middle of the night just wide awake. And then now I think I'm good now.
Good to hear. And you get a day back because you lost, what was it, October 17th?
That's right. But I went
forgettable day in history. But you got to lose it.
You didn't miss anything.
But I got to live the day after the election twice.
Wow. Maybe bad timing looking back on it.
What a trade. What a trade for me. Yeah, splendid stuff. Well, we've got a lot to get to, gentlemen, and we are going to do just that. After a little bit of a slow start, thanks to the wind, the golf course in Cabo, El Cardinal at Diamante actually played over par, Greg, before those low scores started to come in, at least 2.5 strokes under par the rest of the way, and 24 under was the winning score.
Yes. Look, you could see a lot of the elements of, first of all, why the golf course is designed this way by Tiger Woods. It is susceptible to wind, and it plays a whole lot different when you have those windy conditions. And when you're talking about a resort style golf course, you have to give everybody room in order to handle those things. And that's very clear in the design. So that when you don't get any wind or very light wind, there's not a whole lot of defense against these PGA Tour players. There just isn't. And whether it's a 485 yard par 4 or a 600 yard par 5, or whatever you throw at them, these players have that dialed in when there's no wind to deal with. And at least the guys up near the top of the leaderboard, who we'll be talking about tonight, really took advantage of that.
Yeah, before we get to the guy who won this week, let's get to the guy who won 2 weeks ago, the last PGA Tour event, Patrick. That was Nico Echevarria. He was in position to try to go back-to-back. He was 16 under par heading into the final round, and he was bogey-free for this week until the 7th hole on Sunday. He made a double there. He would add 2 more bogeys, a 1 under 71 for Nico. It drops him to T6. And while he does not win back-to-back events, this is the first time in his career he has back-to-back top 10s.
So his 1 under round is the 3rd worst of those who finished inside the top 30. And he finished inside the top 10, like you mentioned. Ben Griffin, the only one to shoot over par. And they showed him once on the broadcast today, and it was just a foul ball off the tee. And so I would love to add some color to that double bogey, Rick. But as we alluded to, no shot link. It wasn't on TV at the time. So I don't know exactly what happened with Nico, and I was keeping tabs on my best bet, which we'll obviously get to as well. So I had one eye over here, one eye over there, but a really good result for someone who he's obviously won twice on the PGA Tour, but the consistency really hasn't been there. And so for him to parlay his good play in Japan to more of the same here in Mexico, it's really encouraging for him, and someone who is probably going to get into those or could get into those signature events. I believe he moved up to number 61 in the Aon Next 10 or the FedEx Cup. So just outside the top 60 that gets in, and 2 events left, he has a good chance to do that.
Yeah, 2 events to go. Bermuda and the RSM Classic. Obviously, a very confident Nico Echeverria as we get towards the end of the fall schedule. But the winner, also a 2-time winner on the PGA Tour, both of those coming here in 2024, is Austin Eckroat. Greg, thanks to a Sunday 63 with not just 1 bogey, but 2 bogeys on the card. He made 11 birdies and looked nearly flawless until things got a little bit hairy on 18, but he had built himself up enough of a lead to hold on and grab another trophy here.
Only 5 pars on the card through the entire day.
Yeah.
Just incredible. 2 different 3 birdie streaks on the card for Austin Eckroat. This was a phenomenal performance. Everything was clicking on all cylinders. And, you know, he's kind of a very interesting character. He's heading into his 3rd year on the PGA Tour. Obviously has a phenomenal record coming out of Oklahoma State. You know, he was a star coming out of there, which is a tough place to come out as a star. And he's lived up to it, but it's been a little under the radar. And I'm very impressed with the improvements that he made from 2023 into 2024. And he missed 15 cuts in his first year. Was able to keep his card through, you know, making 4 top 10s. This year, he was much more consistent, only missed 5 cuts throughout the entire year. And now, of course, has 2 wins, which, like he said in his post-round interview, kind of validates things. But I don't necessarily think this is the best golf course for Austin Eckroat, which is a testament to his ability. You know, I think that what we've seen the last, you know, both times that we've had a golf tournament here, great putters have a tendency of doing well. And you really have to lean on your putter. That's an area of real weakness for Austin Eckroat in his game. While he's a very good ball striker, became a very good iron player this year on the PGA Tour. He got a lot of his work done with the putting this week, and that's been a weakness. So it kind of shows his ability, why he was a top 50 guy, why he was one of the better players in this field, and he stepped up and was able to really prove that and validate that this week.
Was 91% in hitting fairways this week. That was tied for 29th. So not a lot of missed fairways from this field, but I like where Greg was going there, Patrick. You know, the pedigree to come out of Oklahoma State, every time they show that team, right? They always show the teams. Oh, there's Victor Hovland. There's Matthew Wolff. There's Austin Eckroat. There, whatever else, right? They're always showing the teams. Now Eckroat does get that validation victory, as he called it afterwards, the best golf he ever played.
And although he came out highly touted, the rise to this kind of has been a slow burn. There were moments in his rookie year, like he finished top 10 at LACC, kind of out of nowhere at the US Open. And then this year, the ball striking was great in the early stages, and the short game, which, like Greg said, has been pretty bad since the spring, I want to say. And Greg and I mentioned the Mexico Open a lot leading into this week, just the similarities, and you see it in the leaderboard. I'm looking at the Cognizant Classic leaderboard. EVR finished 2nd. Remember that? You had like Jake Knapp was in there. He's someone who probably would have played well this week. Garrick Higo was in the mix. He was also in the mix there. Jacob Bridgman, Nico played well at the Honda Classic too. And that's definitely the type of golf course where you put the ball in the fairway, you rely on your iron play, you don't have to go out and go nuts. And you look at his finishes, at what type of golf courses they've come at. PGA National, obviously. Sedgefield, he finished inside the top 10. He played great in Memphis as well. Top 20 at the RBC Heritage too. Those aren't golf courses quite like this one. So I'm impressed that he got it done in this capacity in a shootout where I don't know if I necessarily saw him as that type of player, someone who was going to get into the mid-20s, possibly reach 30 under. I kind of saw him more as a grinder sort who could win those golf tournaments in the higher teens, mid-teens. And it's cool to see him display a different type of gear. He
becomes the 7th multiple-time winner on tour this year. Can we name the others?
Scheffler,
He has 7.
Schauffele,
He has the rest of these guys have 2. That is correct.
McIlroy,
Correct.
McIntyre.
Correct.
Nikki D.
Matsuyama.
There you go. Dunlap, Matsuyama, and Austin Eckroat. Those are the 7. Well done.
Easy.
Easy game.
money.
Were you going to jump in there, Greg? Did I cut you off on Eckroat, or do you want me to move on?
No, well, Patrick was highlighting those golf courses, which not only is the scoring more difficult, but the accuracy that's required is a whole lot higher. And this, it takes away his big advantage. He is a very accurate driver of the golf ball, and everybody's an accurate driver of the golf ball at El Cardinal. So it shows a much more complete game. I thought coming into this week it would be very, I looked at his name coming into the week. It's like, I kind of like this, but then again, no, I don't. He's gonna have his legs chopped out from under him because his strengths are washed, and he proved me wrong with that concept because he was able to kind of backfill his game with some great putting. Which proved to be important, and that hasn't really been there for him for a while. So extremely impressive.
Yeah, impressive indeed. Now we have a lot to get to. Don't fret, but this is a really good time for me to get to our first ad break here. So we're gonna take this down to the wire because this was in jeopardy throughout. But first, we're gonna take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
And we're back. Despite Austin Eckroat feeling like he was in control of this golf tournament throughout, Carson Young, Patrick, had a chance on the 72nd hole to force this into a playoff. He had an eagle putt on the 18th. It was a pretty darn good look. It went begging, came up a little bit short, and he would tap in for a birdie to finish in a tie for second. But thanks to birdies on 9, 10, 14, 16, and 18, Carson Young at least gave himself an opportunity to be in the mix, and that is his first top 10 finish since the John Deere Classic, where he finished T5.
First team all mustache too.
Sure.
On the PGA Tour. You throw EVR when he's got that bad boy going. I guess you can throw Johnson Wagner in the mix, even though I think technically he's still a PGA Tour member. Carson Young. I don't know who else has a mustache. Minwoo Lee kind of has a bit of a dirty stash.
Oh, yeah.
I would say. Yeah, that one's just grimy. I don't know who the fifth would be. It's
Josh says Jake Knapp, which is a great call.
He has a mustache.
He's got a blonde mustache, doesn't he?
Yeah.
A la Hulk Hogan. I didn't know he had facial hair.
Oh yeah, he does.
Dang.
And like half a mullet for sure.
He should go as Hulk Hogan for next year's Halloween.
I'll send him a note.
Yeah. We'll be sure to do that, as well as the mayor of Tempo Town. But a great result, obviously, for Carson Young. I was head down working on the gamer for CBS Sports, and oh my God, this thing is absolutely over. And then he stuffs one in there nicely on the par 3 16th. I don't think twice about it. Eckroat's in full control. He still has the par 5 18th. What do you know? Eckroat birdie 17. This thing's definitely over. And then Johnson Wagner said it was a tough spot to leave his chip, which I thought he had plenty of green to work with. I thought the shadows kind of messed with him a little bit on that third that he left at his feet. But all of a sudden, when Eckroat makes that bogey, Young suddenly has a chance to force a playoff. He hits a great shot into the last hole, just unable to connect from long distance for that eagle. So a great result for him, and someone who probably was safe entering the week. He was 113, but now he's definitely safe. He can take the next 2 weeks off if he really wanted to. And that's awesome for a guy like him.
Yeah, absolutely great. That T2 obviously means he tied with somebody, Greg. That somebody is Justin Lauer, who moves up 21 spots in the FedEx Cup standings from 95th to 74th. So he's got a little bit more work to do, but he went out in 32. That is 4 under, made a couple of birdies coming in, and then a big bird on number 18. Lauer's had a couple of close calls over the last few years, but has yet been able to convert.
Yet to convert, but he's getting a lot better. He's a really good player, and he doesn't have necessarily the elite skill sets that you would expect to see on the PGA Tour. He's not overly long. He's not overly accurate, which is part of the reason why this is a perfect golf course for him. He plays right into his strengths. Right? Justin Lauer is a very good iron player. Then he hit 60 greens this week, which, that mark, I really like that mark. It's a strong number. Okay, so he hit 60 greens. He hit 53 of 56 fairways, which is a huge bonus for him. I mean, on the PGA Tour for Justin Lauer this year, if you take a look at his driving accuracy, he hits basically 59% of his fairways with a driving distance of 296. 132nd in distance, 109th in accuracy. Now he's a good iron player. He was 72nd last year on the PGA Tour, 33rd in greens and regulation. But all of a sudden, you put him in every fairway, everyone except for 3. I'm not sure what happened on those 3 missed fairways. But now all of a sudden, it plays right into his strengths, which are iron play and putting. And we saw a whole lot of that this week. Yet at some point, even though he shot 65, he shot 7 under in the final round. It felt like the putter let him down a little bit. There were a couple opportunities he had that he let slide by, didn't hit great putts on a couple of occasions, but still walks off with 65. So I think this was really impressive to go into the final round, tied for the lead, shoot 65, and you don't feel like you gave this one up. Even though you lost, you gave yourself every chance that you needed to. Very impressive for Justin Lauer.
Lauer and Young finished T2, and stop me if you've heard this before, but Max Greyserman posts another top 5 finish, a solo 4th for Greyserman with rounds of 68, 64, 69, and 65. Just the one bogey on the card, number 13 today, Patrick, but Max Greyserman entered this week as the favorite, even before Cam Young withdrew from this event earlier in the week, and he lived up to that moniker and continues to play great.
So we've had less top 50 players playing this FedEx Cup fall compared to last year. It felt like last year the top 50 guys were winning a bunch of the tournaments. You think about Sahith Theegala getting his first win in Napa and all that. And so you have the top 3 or the 3 inside the top 50. Eckroat, the winner, Greyserman, almost another runner-up finish, and then Tom Hoge, who played well before he didn't play well the final round, but he was kind of in the mix heading into Sunday. And so for Greyserman, he's kind of just been beating up on these less than stellar fields. The Zozo Championship obviously had a number of stars, but the 3M Open, the Wyndham Championship, this as well. And for him to take that next step, maybe jump into the Tour Championship-esque echelon, the iron play needs to improve. I think you saw that with the bogey on 13, flaring that one way out right. And it just felt like Eckroat had easier scoring opportunities throughout the day. And Greyserman is a ridiculous putter. Don't get me wrong, but that's a lot of pressure to put on your putter to match the guy you're playing who's filling it up. So another great result. Obviously, he's set in stone for signature events and all that jazz as well. But I'm looking for him to maybe go to work these next couple months and see if he comes out firing in 25 with some improved approach play potentially.
4 top 4 finishes, Greg, in his last 6 starts. And before that, he's been brewing. We talked about this a lot on Monday. Since the U.S. Open, Max Greyserman has been one of the best players on the PGA Tour. Still without a victory. That's okay. A lot of close calls and doesn't seem to be, he got the lights were too big. The lights were big at the Wyndham Championship, but other than that,
Turn them off. Turn
yeah,
them off.
they're too bright. They're too bright. Other than that, he's been splendid.
Oh man, he's a rookie on the PGA Tour this year.
Yeah,
that's like an easy thing to forget. You kind of feel like he's a journeyman and been around for a while. He's a rookie on the PGA Tour. We don't really know what kind of player he is. And so because we just have a very small amount of data on him, yet he's come into these, 4 out of these last 6 events and contended, and he's the favorite, your highest priced player on DraftKings coming into the week. That's a different class to get to, and to step up and perform the way he did is extremely impressive. The putting performance that we've seen since like the Scottish Open has been just off the charts good. It was again this week. Now, it wasn't early in the year, so I can't wait to see what kind of player Max Greyserman really turns into. There's one thing we know for sure about him. I guess 2. 1, he's really good. 2, he's really long. And I think that could go a really long way in maintaining the ability to continue to contend in these events, which is how eventually you win. But I think he should go into 2025 with an extremely high level of confidence. And when he steps on the tee in a signature event, he's not going to, it doesn't strike me like he's going to be worried about those bright lights. I really think the Wyndham Championship was a step in the right direction for him. And he learned that, hey, the lights are going to be bright. I just got to wear sunglasses or something. I can handle it. And we saw that at the Zozo. We saw it again this week. He played up to his standard, even though he didn't win. And I think that's a really big step.
Do you think he needs Matt Kuchar in that final round pairing with him again, Greg, to just to make sure everything's going the way, looking out for him? No sunglasses needed that day. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Oh, why you gotta put that on me? Matt Kuchar's just all of a sudden in the crosshairs for Patrick.
Well, we're in Mexico. Cooch obviously has a relation. I believe this was this very tournament as well. L2 Karen,
different golf course.
Different golf course, yes.
Matt Kuchar got a couple of drive-bys there.
Yeah, everything. What else has he done wrong in his career? Bring it up.
Right arm lock.
let me open this folder real quick.
Yeah. Patrick has a Oppo research folder for Matt Kuchar. I'll go here first, Josh. So across the pond, we got Paul Waring winning the DP World Tour event. That was in Abu Dhabi. They're wrapping up their season next week. We'll get to the rest of the top 10, which was star powered. But Patrick, this is probably a name that we should get used to, because with the good time to get your first win after 6 years, moves you up to 5th in their rankings, which is very, very likely to get him a PGA Tour card for next year.
Yeah, and he's had a pretty good 2024. He's actually teed it up a couple times on the PGA Tour in those alternate events. He finished T21 at Barracuda. But over on the DP World Tour, played well in China, just had a top 10 in Spain also. And like you mentioned, talk about a good time. He just pretty much locked up his PGA Tour card. He mentioned afterwards how he lives in Dubai. It's like, yeah, I've been loving this place, but I mean, I guess I got to move to America for the PGA Tour next season. So up to 5th in the Race to Dubai standings. Rory pretty much has it locked up, it seems like. But this class has some very interesting names. And Greg and I were talking about how Thorbjorn Olesen, Rick, he was way outside the top 125 on the PGA Tour. But on the bubble for the top 10, not otherwise exempt through the DP World Tour avenue, I believe he was 12th or 13th, something like that. He played great this week, and now he has temporarily secured his PGA Tour card through that.
Right.
He's 3 people inside, which I didn't know you could double dip like that. But
it is kind of interesting. Like if you're if you're halfway through the year and you're like, well, I'm definitely not I'm not going to get it here. Let me go back to Europe and see if I can rattle this off. So if I understand this correctly, so top 10, not otherwise exempt. So Thorbjorn is 12th, but obviously Rory is already in. Actually, a lot of Billy Horschel is already in. Tommy Fleetwood is in. McIntyre is in. Hatton is out. Can't get it. So he's got a little bit of a cushion here. Yes.
Yes, Matt Wallace also in. Adam Scott's in. So Jordan Smith is currently the last one. Unfortunately,
Matt Wallace is in.
Yeah, he doesn't have the PGA Tour.
Yeah, he's
logo
already.
Name on
he already has some type of exemption for next year.
Because he's 130th on the FedEx Cup standings right now.
He is currently in on. Oh, he
won.
won
in Corrales in 23.
Yeah. He was he's got it through next year on tournament winner.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah. So
I do. I remember him winning. I that makes total sense because I was looking at that name like, well, he was 125 heading into the week. What I'm 125 here. I'm 7th here. Where do I go? You got two choice. Where do I go?
That'd be tough.
All right,
That's
that makes more sense.
I would definitely mess up.
Yeah.
Go over to Dubai or play in Bermuda. Yeah. So right now, Jordan Smith, last guy in. McKibben just out. Guido did not have a good start this week. He's just out too. So those are kind of the guys. And then a bunch of Frenchmen.
We missed our opportunity, or I guess Laurie Cantor trying to figure out what would happen, right, if he were to earn his card through the DP World Tour as a live player and force the PGA Tour to what? Just reject him?
I thought I saw somewhere that they had the discussion behind closed doors and they told him he'd be suspended for a year, even though he was never a member of the PGA Tour. I saw that on Twitter, so it is likely true. but how about House Tyrell? He could possibly, a lot of things have to go in his favor, but he can somehow win the DP World Tour Championship. I think he's number 6 right now. He's ahead of Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, no. So he's only played 9 events. He's got 2,300 points. He would need a massive week and some help. But I mean, the rest of that top 10, Greg, very familiar names. Hatton finished 2nd, Rory in a tie for 3rd, Tommy Fleetwood, Tristan Lawrence were in the mix, and Tom McKibben, who we've seen play great golf all year, also there. But yeah, I mean, Hatton's been great everywhere in the world this year.
Everywhere he's played, he's been phenomenal. So we know where he stands, but what's clear is he can make a lot of noise and a lot of headway in a very limited amount of events other than the live events. I mean, it's obviously a very full schedule, but to put yourself in this position to be 6th on the DP World Tour in 9 events is rather impressive and goes a long way for your Ryder Cup chances the following year. I for John Rahm or the John Rahms and Rory McIlroys and Victor Hovlands, those guys you kind of know are going to be on the team. Hatton would be in that next tier where you kind of got to show that you're playing well. And boy, I mean, he's getting closer to locking up an auto spot right now with the way he's played. It's been so consistent and steady for a long period of time. So yeah, hats off to Tyrrell Hatton. Hats off to Hatton.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. What would he need to do, Patrick? He'd have to win. How many points is that worth?
Gosh.
Sorry.
Wow. Way to put me on the spot.
Sorry.
How about Greg, you vamp about
I'm looking.
Matt Kuchar really quick.
Oh, Josh says that only Lawrence can win the race to Dubai other than Rory. So Rory's going for number 6. And he has a 1,700 point lead over Lawrence. So he would need a win and then Rory to, whatever, finish outside the top, whatever the number of points is.
Dang. That's do you like it this way? I do like it where they've added the drama with the PGA Tour cards. We obviously saw that last year with Rasmus Højgaard and Matthew Pavon. But this being a two-man race, do you like it more than it? I guess it is kind of the old Tour Championship, sort of, more than what the PGA Tour does.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a better way for both of them, right? There's got to be a better way.
I was thinking today when the PIF eventually invest into the PGA Tour. Like, I love golf as much as anyone. Don't get me wrong. I've decided to do it for a career. But during the fall, it is tough sledding TV-wise to go against the NFL like they're choosing to do. They gotta just, I think you throw the fall just completely in the Middle East. Just do it.
Dude,
different TV window.
Yeah. I mean, I would go like, why don't they just go like Tuesday to Friday or something, right? Like
this is when you go international, though.
Morning. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like Japan, playing in Japan, you want to satisfy that market. You're not competing against the NFL. You're not. People are going to watch a 15-minute recap. You want to do it in Dubai, that's fine too. But I agree. The fall is the time to go international and give all these events to the starved golf fans all around the world.
Yeah.
To answer your
maybe
question,
even mix it up with the DP World Tour too. Get that strategic alliance at work.
Yeah. To answer your question, Patrick, so like you have Tristan Lawrence, who's in second, who has played 25 events, is the only other guy who can win besides Rory McIlroy, who has played 11. And it's like, okay, if Lawrence wins, we say it's because of the volume. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, there has to be a better solution to this.
Well, it's like that one year when Rory freed the nip there in Dubai when he missed some putt short or something and ripped his shirt open, and Colin Morikawa was the winner.
That's right.
Yes.
It was like, what?
Freed the nip. I remember that day.
Yeah, it's very interesting how it almost feels like the DP World Tour rates too much in majors. Like the majors are rated too high or something. Because it happens every year, right? Patrick Reed is like a honorary lifetime member of the DP World Tour.
Yeah.
Or at least at one point was.
Yeah, it's like him, Arnie, and Tiger.
Yeah.
And Tom Watson.
Yeah.
That's a great trivia question.
Yeah. They end up with some strange things. But at the same time, you would much rather have Rory McIlroy win your season-long race than let's pick Matt Kuchar.
Yeah, well, and even if he's in it, you get them to go there, right? That was the art. Like Morikawa was in it because of his play in the majors, so he flew over there for the last 2 weeks or something like that, right? That probably would not have been on his schedule if he was not in the mix.
Yeah, so it's not perfect, but it's also, this is not football. We don't need to have it doesn't have to be perfect. We got to get these guys to play. And I think as a viewer, you're not watching next week to see who's going to win the race to Dubai. You're going to watch to see Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood and Tyrrell Hatton play golf.
Right? Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a different scenario.
Okay. Well, here's what we've got left. I have a rules question that I want to run by you guys. We have to update the bets for this week that you two put out there on Tuesday. And admittedly, there's some decent green on this grid. And then we've got to update the fall one and done. But before that, we are going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
At CBS Sports Golazo Network, we're bringing you the game.
Madness of Messi arrives!
Breaking down the game.
This is unlike anything else in the world.
And changing the game.
Get it all for nil.
That means free.
Wow.
And all day long!
24/7.
And we're back. There was a disqualification in Mexico this week, and I want to make sure I understand why. So Emilio Gonzalez, after shooting rounds of 73, 71 and missing the cut, he was actually DQ'd. And Greg, I want to bring you in on this. So this is what I understand happened. Friday, second round, 15th hole. So he is coming down the stretch here, hits his shot into the desert and hits a provisional. But he, quote, failed to make reasonable efforts to identify a ball that was found in the 3-minute time window. And he went and played his provisional. So the way I understand this is he blasts one way into the desert. Somebody over there finds it. He likes his provisional a lot more. So he just goes and plays that.
Yeah.
And the official says, well, you at least have to make an effort to identify. You know, it's not an option, right? It's not.
No.
If you find the original, you got to play the original, but he didn't even make an effort to find it. Just left it.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody found it and he just la 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 la.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I have not heard of that happening in that way.
Yeah.
Now, I have heard of people saying, don't look for it, right? Don't find that ball.
Right.
Which is allowed. You don't have to look for it. Shane Lowry, when at the open. At the open. Yes. Yeah. Right. Leave it. It's gone. And so that's perfectly fine. But somebody unfortunately finds it. And he just pretends that they didn't. That's what it sounds like. And that's, of course, a penalty.
Yeah.
Leading to a WD.
Titleist 2, my name on it? Not me. Sorry.
Not me. That's from a practice round.
Yeah.
No, I switched to a 1.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to make sure I understood that correctly because that's what I was thinking happened as well.
Yeah.
Best bets, gentlemen. Hat tip to you. A lot of green on this board. Swept the matchups. Patrick, Lowry over Joaquin Neiman. No problem there. Greg, Harris English over Lucas Glover. No problem there. Good job, boys.
Good pick, Greg.
Yeah, you too, Patrick. Phenomenal. The Harris English over Lucas Glover is funny because of who won. I talked to Patrick about this on Tuesday, along with our political analysis, and said Lucas Glover, with his accuracy advantage, it gets diminished here. Well, the same is true for Austin Eckroat, but he went on to win. So, I'm glad this one worked out.
And then the continuing great play from Joe Highsmith for you, Greg, a solo fifth, plenty to cash your top 30, which was plus 140. This dude is rolling right now.
Yeah, a much better ball striker, and I think a lot longer than a lot of people realize. And it was really through a large majority of this season, at least the second half of the season, the putter was just atrocious. That's why he had to make holes in one all the time. Now he's got that right hand low claw as a left-handed player, the most confusing grip to describe imaginable, and it is working. So yeah, plenty of room to spare for the Highsmith top 30.
Highsmith top 30 at plus 140. And then for the best bets, Harris English top 20 for Greg. No problem there. That was plus 130. He actually finished in a tie for 14th, thanks to a 67-66 on the weekend. And then Patrick, the Steelers money line comes through on the road thanks to what's his name, Mr. Unlimited.
Not the first time this week. The Rust Belt was crucial in victory in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
I mean, I feel bad. I'm on the outskirts of NFL gambling Twitter, kind of just poke in every now and again. Everyone has their analysis. They're running numbers. They're doing all this jazz. And then I'm like, Mike Tomlin against a rookie quarterback. Give me the plus money all day. Rust Belt, Mike Williams, welcome to the team. Thanks for that addition, Greg. We really appreciate it. And I think, fellas, we just saw a little preview of the Super Bowl later this winter.
Oh, did we?
I believe so.
Oh,
well, I guess next week's best bet is on the board.
So I was just going to go look it up, but there's games going on right now. If I can remember, I'll write it down. After this week is over, I want to go look at the exact Super Bowl matchups. You can get for any combination of teams. Steelers versus Commanders, I bet could get you pretty penny right now.
$1,000,000,000.
Yeah. You could retire off of it. Let's say that.
All right, here we go. The Commanders are 25-1. The Steelers are 28-1.
To get there or to win it?
To win.
Okay. So what are the Commanders to win the NFC? Do you have that handy?
I do not. Shedeur Sanders, favorite to go number 1.
This is not good. Now we're just noodling around.
Now Patrick's just reading off
Really?
the sports book.
All right. Well, if I parlay that with Lucas Glover outright next week.
Yeah. On the road, down 6, Mr. Unlimited finds Mike Williams from 32 yards out.
After fumbling on the 1-2, the fake punt, Joey Porter Jr. is the epitome of what it means to be a defensive back in the NFL. He got called for, I think, 3 penalties. And after each penalty, he looked at the crowd, gave them the incomplete signal, and then looked back at the ref going, "What? Are you kidding me?"
I love that. I love that. Takes a special type of player to be a defensive back in the NFL.
Very confident.
The fall one and done. We had some names on here. Unfortunately, a lot of these names struggled, especially on Sunday. Let's start with you, Greg. Rico Hoey got off to a great start, was tied for the lead after the opening round, 5 under 67. He goes 70, 69, ugly 73 to drop to a T45 and earn you 19 grand.
Yep, that's about right. This is what Patrick wanted to do all FedEx Cup fall. Make every cut and not make any money. I seem to be doing that very well. Rico, it's disappointing.
I saw him. I saw the PGA Tour post a clip of him chipping in on Thursday. I'm like, man, Greg is on it this week.
Yeah, what a call. I was thinking the same thing. Should have gone with Highsmith.
Well, he wasn't the only one to shoot a 1 over 73 because my guy did that too. That was Ben Griffin. Drops him 17 spots from a top 10 down to T24. That was worth 58,000. Patrick, you and Mark got a little bit more, but you did it with different characters. Mark did it with Harry Hall, who shot a very solid 66 on Sunday. And you did it with Harris English, who we have mentioned a handful of times here, also had himself a good weekend. So you guys co-win the week.
Before and after Wheel of Fortune, 4-time PGA Tour winner, country of Mark's one and done. Harris Englishman Hall. I don't. I'll shut up. But I am in that spot where, like Greg's NFL pool, do I go towards the bottom, play for the bottom with 2 events left, and try to throw it in, try to come in last, or do I go for the top? So, got a lot of thinking to do before the highly celebrated Butterfield Bermuda Championship.
Bo Hostler, Josh's pick, got off to a slow start, 76, but he made an ace. Later in the week, you finish up with rounds of 67 and 68. That's good enough for a T20 and $84,000. Josh retains the lead with $833,000. Hostler made $84,000 this week. Josh has $833,000 for the fall. Mark has $665. Patrick has $417. I have $363. Greg has $166. 2 to go. Bermuda and the RSF. I mean, if we can find a winner, everybody's alive in those events because it is very, very tight.
Dibs on Lucas Glover for one of them. I don't know which one.
You let me know which one. I'll take the other.
Okay.
No, there's no Greyserman. Greyserman's got to win. Is he going to play the last 2?
Can't pick him.
Oh, I can't pick
top 50.
Yeah, top 50.
It's going to be Glover's going to win one, and then I think it's going to get weird. Maybe a Carl Yuan sighting.
Okay.
I was trying to think of anybody else that was like more off the wall, and I could not think of one.
Maybe I might roll with Kevin Chappell at the RSM.
What
Kevin
about Wesley
Chappell.
Bryant?
Yeah, Wesley's been great.
Wesley Bryant. Or here's a sneaky one for the listeners at home. Grayson Sigg, RSM.
He's a Sea Island guy, is he not?
He is part of the Mafia. Not quite a capo, but he's in the Mafia.
All right. I like that. I like that. Gentlemen, any final thoughts before we get out of town?
No.
Schedule next week, Monday, Tuesday, Sunday for the Butterfield Bermuda Championship.
What does Butterfield do?
It is a bank. We've done this before.
I was going to go dairy product.
No, that would be too on the nose. It is a bank based out of Bermuda. It is where you hide your money that you've been laundering.
Huh.
It's an offshore account.
It's an offshore account.
Okay, PG. What was the sponsor of the Bermuda Championship before Butterfield?
Did it have one? Or was it just the
I
Bermuda
don't believe
Championship?
it did.
So they just went there?
Yeah.
I think they just went there.
It was just like the Bermuda Department of Tourism or something.
Department of Tourism, yeah.
You know, so they just call it the Bermuda Championship.
I feel like there's always travel issues for the Bermuda Championship. Guys losing clubs, all that jazz.
It's the triangle.
Come on.
Oh,
that's
gosh,
easy. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, I didn't even remember. I would not play in that event then. No offense to the beautiful people of Bermuda.
Well, you don't have to go into the triangle to get there.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like one of the points.
How would the Bermuda Triangle not encompass Bermuda?
Well, because it's just Greg is right. It's just one of the points. So you could fly north of it. So really, the points are Miami, Bermuda, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. So you could stay outside if you're flying from, as long as you're not flying from like Cuba, you can stay outside of it.
So what are those islands in the Bermuda Triangle?
This is like closest without going over. Right? You just get there, but don't go in all the way.
Dude, you are definitely flying. Like you're at least skirting it a little bit.
No, if you're flying from Sea Island, doop, straight shot.
Yeah, right here. Boom. Nothing to worry about.
So where's wow, Turks and Caicos is in it? And I've been watching Black Sails recently.
The Bahamas.
Nassau? Yeah. It's Pirates Colony. Dude. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Closest without going over. I'm looking for the total number of ships and planes that have disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. Obviously, the exact number is unknown, but this is the best estimate. I'm adding up ships and planes. Closest without going over. Patrick, go first.
When was the Bermuda Triangle officially coined?
Good question. Good question. Don't know, but the first disappearances began in 1800.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
When did flying begin?
Also, okay. September 1950 is when it started to get the coin of either the Bermuda Triangle or the Devil's Triangle.
Oh, the Devil's Triangle. Okay,
Yeah.
so 1950. I
Yep,
feel
yep.
like there was one in my mind. It's a couple of years ago, but it's probably like 4 or 12 years ago. Remember that one?
What's your guess?
Wait, what was that one plane that went missing?
Malaysia.
Oh, that was Malaysia.
Malaysia.
That was like 15 years ago.
Does feel more recent.
It was 10
Yeah,
years
it
ago.
does.
It was March 2014.
They never found them.
They never found anything.
Wow, sketchy.
That's crazy.
That's going to be my homework for Tuesday's episode.
I have another sea-related story, but I'll save it for Tuesday.
Okay, my guess, I'll go first, Greg, without going over 1950.
That's when it was coined. There are disappearances that date back to 1800.
And are these just official flights, like by major airlines, or
Buddy
could
boy.
me and my buddy who owns a
I'm
jet
I'm Googling.
Look,
I don't know. Give me a number.
Okay, Josh is yelling at me too. I'm gonna say that's like 100 years ago. So 5 per year plus ships too. Forgot about that. At least 3,000.
Greg?
Wow. It's such a hard thing. I'm going to say 227.
Okay.
Play
the noise where what
minimum
noise
3,000.
What noise do they play on the Price is Right when both of you are over? You're both over. Okay.
What?
So you've got to make another guess. Yeah.
You're
All right.
on
77.
You're on the Bermuda.
All right.
tour,
Greg
so
says
website.
77.
Rick, of course, they're gonna underplay it.
I'm not.
Greg was over with what, 270?
Yes, and his new guess is 77.
250.
Okay. Greg wins. Oh no, actually Greg's over too. But all right, I'm ending this. It's 70. The answer is 70.
I call BS. They
50
are underreporting that.
50 ships, 20 planes. That was brutal.
That is a lot.
3,000?
Wrong.
5 a
Oh,
year
okay.
for hundreds of years?
Rick,
If there were 5 planes and ships going down in you would know more about it.
It would be banned.
You'd
could not go
never
through
be
them.
allowed to go.
think about the drugs coming into Florida in the 70s. I was watching Narcos recently too. All those ships definitely lost. Rick, I'm on this website that you're on from the Google machine.
Yeah.
It is gotobermuda.com. They are 1,000%.
Listen, I
underreported.
didn't say the numbers weren't cooked. I'm just telling you what the numbers
You don't
are.
have to go through the triangle to get to Bermuda.
In fact, I would discourage it.
I would too. Come in from the north.
That's right.
Safe. The seas are safe in the north.
Yeah, that's an
Are
easy.
they?
Patrick, you could get there no problem.
I could swim there probably. How far off the coast? is
Straight
that?
across.
Oh boy. Okay. How far?
A couple
20 to
miles.
the-
I can see it from my house.
Look, Miami and Cuba are 90 miles. That's got to be 260 miles.
I hate open water. I don't.
Okay.
think I can do it.
From. Okay.
Oh, it's like 600 miles.
Yeah, it's 600 miles.
So
There's a key on the
swimming
map.
at a
Oh
pace
yeah,
of-
good job, Greg. It is 600 miles from the closest point, which is in North Carolina.
I'm not a strong swimmer, so I don't think I could do that.
You can't doggy paddle 600 miles in open ocean.
I can barely tread water on a good day.
I'm with you. I'm not that great of a swimmer either. All right, I'm ending this. We will do more Bermuda conversation next week, I'm sure. For now, producer Josh does all the hard work behind the scenes. You can find Greg on Twitter at @TheRealGFD and Patrick at P McDonald CBS, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.